we would be doing a disservice to our fans if we didn't go for it. Scarecrow, music by Slash.
Marriage of clown and deep gore is like a great combo.
Should I bring a poncho? It's Terrifier. Come prepared to be covered in blood.
Ah, that was crazy.
The first year we did Monstruos, that was like the fan favorite.
Talked about all of those teeth.
I was haunted as a child.
I think people are going to really respond to the horse head.
And that's why we do what we do.
It's going to be like a new sandbox to play in. Give the people what they want. Hi, I'm John Murdy, creative director, executive producer of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood, and I want to welcome you back to this exclusive behind-the-scenes look at Halloween Horror Nights 2025. All right, now we're going to bring in someone new to the conversation, so would you mind introducing yourself and telling us what you do for Halloween Horror Nights?
Yeah, thank you, John. Hi, I'm Stacy Quinalty, creative director of audio-video design, and we design all of the houses, all of the streets, kind of everything audio-video that you see and hear. My team designs and constructs all that.
All right, well, let's talk about a house that I think, well, I don't just think, I know our fans are dying, quite literally, to experience, and that is Terrifier. What did you think when you heard we were going to do Terrifier, Stacey?
So I have to admit, it's one of the most exciting things this year for me, because when you see the films, it's just so over the top, so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's got such a strong fan base. I think everybody's going to be so excited to check out Terrifier, and we're going to be excited to give it to them. So.
What about you, Christy?
For me, I was absolutely stoked. He's my new favorite. You
Okay.
know, it's clowning meets scaring, which is, the best of both worlds for me, and I absolutely adore him. And I think he's going to be a great hit. The house itself has a lot in store for our guests and a lot of wetness. Sorry.
I know, I've got our
there.
guests so worried because I kept, like when we announced this, and then they're they always have questions, and they're like, well, how wet am I going to get if I go through this house? And I just keep going, there will be blood, and leave it at that, and they're like, should I bring a poncho? Do I need to worry about what I'm wearing? I'm like, it's Terrifier.
What do you expect?
Come prepared to be covered in blood.
You get what you ask for.
Yeah. Well, we would be doing a disservice
Yes.
to our
Hands
fans
down.
if we didn't go for it. Bobby, what did you think when you heard Terrifier was on the docket?
It's my favorite thing you chose this year.
Oh.
I was super excited because when I saw that first film, Terrifier, and what was that, 2011 maybe, I think so? I mean, that film's crazy. That character is ridiculous, over the top. Again, like marriage of clown and like deep gore is like a great combo. And then as the films have progressed, they've gotten weirder and stranger, and like the mythology is super elaborate. It's just, they're gross and hilarious.
You know what I was really excited about with this is when you think about the genre of horror, horror always evolves. It's always changing. It's always evolving. But like the era that, we were probably growing up in, it was the slasher movie era, and I'm sure all of us saw all those movies when we were teenagers, in the movie theater. But then, horror changes, and then it's kind of went into found footage movies, and then it went into paranormal movies, and the true like slasher icons, that kind of receded.
Yeah.
And for a while now, a couple decades at least, there really hasn't been that new icon, that slasher movie icon, until Art the Clown came along.
Yep.
And it was interesting to watch. I know for me, it was really our fans that kind of drove this, because when the first movie came out, I'd seen some T-shirts in the park, and I was like, oh, Terrifier, okay. And then the second movie came out, and you're seeing, more and more Terrifier merch. And then in the run-up to the third movie, like when we were doing the event last year, the movie hadn't come out yet, but you could just feel that anticipation with our fan base. And I think this is the classic example of, like, give the people what they want.
It's a good call. It's a good call.
So one of the, when we were trying to design this house, Terrifier happens in a lot of different locations in the movie. In the first movie, it's more about that warehouse, In the second movie, it's the fun house. But there's houses, and in the third movie, it's got this Christmas theme going on. So as designers, we were trying to figure out, well, we got to come up with something that could be the housing for all of this, and we gravitated towards the fun house. And to me, I love that because I don't know about you guys, but like there's not a lot of things that creep me out anymore after doing Horror Nights for all these years. But going to some fun house, you know, particularly like those traveling ones that come in Europe, we have a lot of those. And going in those old school, like carny dark rides.
They're creepy in their own right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if there's nothing inside but a flashing light. It always makes me like wonder, is there some guy in here who's going to hack me to bits?
Yeah, in which direction do I go? It's just creepy, you know.
Did you get that same reaction, like with the idea of like an old creepy carnival funhouse?
Oh yeah, because you never know what is around the corner. You never know what is behind something.
What about you, Christy?
Yeah,
Is that
it definitely did. I also feel like the fact that a lot of them are so run down and they feel unstable
It adds
kind
to
of
it. It
adds
makes
you.
it-
Yeah, it kind of adds.
so? We decided what we were going to do is we were going to make the Terrifier funhouse from the second film the main setting. And then we're going to take all the iconic kills, of which there are many in this franchise, but if they didn't happen in the funhouse, we were going to bring them to the funhouse. But then the next step on that too, it's almost like Art is exhibiting his works of, pun intended, art for all of us, the guests to this. But then we wanted to physically affect you, the guest, you know, and we do that in a variety of different ways. But particularly we wanted to spray blood all over everybody or make them think that they're getting blood sprayed all over them. So this is probably, well, there's no probably. This is the furthest we've gone in that direction. You know, I really wanted to push that button. But there's other ways that you impact and affect the guests, and audio is a big. I know when I wrote the treatment, I was like, you know, referencing those old carnival funhouse sounds. I don't know how that translated to the audio design, Stacy.
Well, I mean, it's like a gift, right? Like you're dealing with old carnival sounds and then funhouse, and it's a gift. It really makes it fun and easy because when you go in that direction, it brings its own innate fear to the table. So, especially with the clown overlay, it's super exciting. I think everybody's going to love this house.
We did something different we don't always do, particularly with how we were going to deliver that character. And we tapped into Christian Tinsley, who is the makeup artist on the third film who did the prosthetics for Art the Clown. So Christian, and Bobby's like, you know, involved in this and going over to Christian's shop all the time. But then we take a wild twist. And I probably don't want to give too much of this away, but it's my favorite thing in the whole Terrifier house is that, okay, now you're going to go on to the next attraction in this fun house, which happens to be the Chamber of Horrors. But everybody who you saw going into the house in front of you has been killed by Art. And so much so that they've blocked the entire entrance to the Chamber of Horrors. So I think that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. When guests walk in the door of that fun house, what do you think they're going to be like when they walk out the exit?
I mean, hopefully disgusted, but then telling everyone else to get back in line.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that thing where they're like trying to shake it off at the
Yep.
end,
Uh-huh.
where they're just like, that was crazy, and they just
And
get really
then-
animated.
And what happens? This is a weird thing I've noticed with guests over the years. Like when a house is really clicking, they come out screaming, but then they start laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing people do. It's like this release of, I don't know, tension and that's been building
Yeah.
up the whole time you're going through it, and they just burst into laughter. So it sounds weird, but like I sometimes will like hang out at the exits of our haunted houses and just watch people as they're coming out, and if they're laughing, I kind of go, okay,
We hit it.
we hit it, we nailed it.
Yeah, it's common, you know, because you have that fear and all that adrenaline builds up, and then all of a sudden you walk out the exit and everything just crashes and releases, and you laugh. It's funny, right? You have a great time, and that's why we do what we do.
I really wanted to take Art because I do think he's like this new icon of horror.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do more than just a haunted house. You know, we're going to do the haunted house. We're going to deliver all the elements of Terrifier that our fans would want to see. But what intrigued me about Art, and it kind of goes back to the first movie, there's that scene in the pizza parlor, and he just comes in and he sits down at a table opposite the two girls,
Yeah.
and he just stares at them. And to me, that's like one of the scariest moments in that whole film. And I wanted to give our fans that same feeling. So what we're doing is we've got this whole separate program where we have multiple performers who are going to be in full prosthetic makeup playing Art the Clown, and we're going to deploy them to different parts of the park in areas you wouldn't expect to see a performer. And that, of course, presents a whole nother, that's a whole another unique challenge too.
Yeah, and that's something our park does really well, right? We cherish our interactions and those meaningful moments with guests, and this is kind of a new take on that. We've had different RIP elements before, but this takes it to another level where it is that interaction. You are immersed in a moment with Art, with the killer, and what is going to happen.
And, you know, you could be eating.
Yeah.
You could be having a bite with your friends, and if you look over, he might be sitting across from you. He might just be staring at you.
That's awesome.
You know, you could go in a store and buy a T-shirt. He might follow you in.
Well, now that makes the park immersive to a whole different level.
And that's the
Yeah.
goal. It's to, you know, we've been doing this a long time. And, you know, in a certain way, you're training your audience. Okay, I know this part's a scare zone, and I know this is a haunted house, and this is a live show. But what about everything else on your journey through the night in Halloween Horror Nights? It's like to disrupt what you would expect. It's to throw in a curveball that our fans aren't expecting. And I'm particularly excited about this. Is it's going to be like, you know, a new sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a house that is completing its third act this year. It is the trilogy. It is now a trilogy, and that is Monstruos Tres, The Ghosts of Latin America. Honestly, when we did the first Monstruos house a couple of years ago, when I was writing it, I thought about it being a trilogy. I thought this is a concept that we could actually do a series of houses on, but it really needed to wait until we saw the guests' reaction. And I think the first year we did Monstruos, that was like the fan favorite. Everybody loved that house. So now we're back for round 3. What I love about this one is that it's all female, for one, you know. As, you know, the dad of 2 daughters, you know. I think it's, you know, in the era we grew up in, the monster or the killer, it was always a dude, you know. But horror changes and evolves, and I love the fact that it's 3 female Latin American ghosts. It's La Milona, which is from South America, and it translates to the woman with big molars. That's the literal.
Yeah, so it's muelona, right?
Muelona,
so
yeah.
molars, but we kind of take our liberties, right, and make it more of a fang situation because molars in the front just kind of doesn't play as well.
It wouldn't be as scary.
Yeah.
You need that needle sharp teeth like a piranha or something. And then the next one is La Siguanaba.
Siguanaba, yeah. So she
Central
is the
America.
horsehead woman,
Yes.
yes, from Central America. And lastly, we have La Llorona.
Yeah, which
and
is
we're bringing her back.
Yeah, and
for this third.
In the hierarchy of Latin American myths and legends, La Llorona is the top.
Everybody,
Yes.
we all know her.
Yeah, haunted. I was haunted as a child by Llorona and Chupacabra.
Okay, now I have to ask this question because I do a ton of research on all of this, and then we work really closely with our, you know, Latin American team members, but also our inclusion group to make sure we get every single detail right and that it's culturally authentic. But that wasn't my experience growing up because I didn't grow up with these stories. I learned about them through our fans, from people literally walking up to me during the event and going, "Have you ever heard of La Llorona?" And then that would pique my interest, and I'd want to learn more about it. But did your grandmother tell you these stories?
Yeah, and my mom, of course.
How
Yeah.
did that impact your sleep?
Not well. I've had these bags since I was like 6, you know. But yeah, you would grow up with that and you would behave because you knew that there were repercussions, right? You would get stolen and you would get drowned. But yeah.
Small price to pay.
Yeah. But you know, these are things that you grow up with, and they are kind of shaping your identity as you grow up in America as well, for us that are Latino American. And when we are doing the casting process, we try to be appreciative of the culture that we're coming from, but also inclusive, because like you said, people want to share what our what our culture has done and what we've grown up with, and we want to pass these things on so that we can all enjoy and have fun together.
What's really cool, particularly about these series of houses we've been doing, and we've been doing them for a while now. You know, the first La Llorona house we did, it's over a decade ago now. Long time ago. This has been a part of our event for many years, and what's really cool that I get to experience all the time is literally people will stop me in the park, and they'll be like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing La Llorona," or El Cucuy, or any of the characters that we've featured in these houses. It means so much to my family. When we announced it, like on my own social media, like I had so many fans reach out to just say, "Hey, when we first came to America and we went to Halloween Horror Nights, we were so excited to see our culture represented." So, you know, I think with Los Angeles, with the culture and the way the evolution of the city, it's a really important part of what we do. And I'm really glad that our fan base, A, brought these characters to us and brought them to our attention, but B, have allowed us to take the responsibility of bringing these stories to life for all of the fans that come to Halloween Horror Nights. And I just think that's really cool. It also presents some interesting costume, not even I would say challenges, but just where you can tap into a different maybe vibe than you know. This isn't necessarily covered in blood. This is more about cultural accuracy and the elegancy of some of these costumes.
Yeah, I mean, learning about specific new monsters that, again, I did not grow up with is fascinating. And so, like, then going in and researching where that myth comes from, the the general look of the clothing and the period in which they sort of come from is always interesting. And then, like, to create a new look based on that is referencing regionalism, but also like very specific ideas about that monster, how they reveal themselves to their victim, how they approach, like how it relates to the masks that we are making, like which, you know, we talked about all of those teeth, which is like a huge thing, and so you're featuring that. And then with Sigunaba,
it's her name, you know?
Yeah.
The woman with big molars, you know?
Yeah, I think people are going to really respond to the horse head
because there's always, with any story, it's not just Latin American culture, but any story that's primarily handed down orally, which is true of all these stories.
Yeah.
Before they were ever written down, they were handed down orally from generation to generation to generation. You're always going to find variations in that story, particularly geographically.
Yeah.
And that's very true of La Llorona, but it's also true of La Sigunaba. You know, that story, even her name is different depending on what part of Central America you're in, but also her appearance is different.
Yeah.
And I was reading all of the different versions of the legend, and when it came to the horse head, one of them was a rotting horse head. It wasn't just a horse head or a horse skull. It was a rotting horse head. And I was like, that's the one.
That's it.
That's Horror Nights. And aside from bringing, you know, intellectual properties to life like Terrifier or Fallout, we also create original content. And Monstruos is one aspect of that. And there's another house we're doing this year that is an entirely different feel, and that is Scarecrow, which now is Scarecrow, music by Slash. And,
right.
you know, Stacy and I, it's been a long time we've been working with Slash, you know, going way back to 2014 was the first year. But maybe, Stacy, you know, talk about the process of creating that music with Slash.
Well, first of all, working with Slash is awesome. He's so talented. Like the melodies and the counter melodies and what he can do is just phenomenal to me.
And quick.
Oh, super quick.
Like
right?
he'll come up with it
It's
instantly.
just instantly. So to me, that's always been super exciting. So Slash will get in his studio and lay down some parts and some sections and then send it to me, and then I produce it and co-write it with him and develop it and turn it into the songs that we hear and see today. This year is super exciting for us because we kind of have a feel, a vibe of what's occurred throughout the past years doing the Monsters mazes to try to keep some sense of continuity there. But this year is completely different. We went way off the rails. I'm from the South originally, so it was really easy for me. But Slash cut tracks with the banjo, with the dobro, with the acoustic guitar, and of course his electric sound. And then I piped in with all kinds of odd things like jaw harps and harmonicas, and we had vibra slaps and anvils and foot stomps and hand claps, and just made it really, really fun. It's just a really cool score. In fact, it was almost too. It really came out so good that I kind of had to pull it down a little bit because we started losing the horror.
It's a song. I mean, it's a full-blown song this time.
Totally be released but it was taken away from some of the horror. We developed it so much, produced it so much. So really excited of what we did into the house, how it's broken out into the room, and you can hear the full version in another location with Slash's name on it.
Yeah, because we're doing a Slash bar this year.
That's right.
And this was a big collaboration with Bobby
it
to
was.
develop this character that walks at night in this area, because we've had people in that area before performing for daytime, but it's since had an overhaul into Jurassic World, so the layout is
it's
different.
totally different.
We had to make sure that everything was okay, that it was safe for a stilt element, and to also have those trademark sunglasses.
Yeah, so last year, Slash and I, we released our Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights album, vinyl, and this year we're going to be releasing Volume 2 of the vinyl, which is limited edition. It flew off the shelves like hotcakes last year, so we're super excited to be bringing version 2 here, Volume 2 here.
Yeah, and that's a limited edition vinyl, and the album art is cool. I wrote the dedication.
Yep.
What I love about the track, and it just blows my mind, I dig it, is when we did Scarecrow, I really wanted to set it in the Dust Bowl. And there's a specific music that comes out of that era, and you guys just nailed it. I mean, it feels, yes, it has electric guitar and it has other elements to it, but it truly feels like it belongs in Scarecrow. And
Awesome.
I think it's just going to be really cool for our fans to experience it. Another show that we're doing, which is brand new, we've never done it before in Halloween Horror Nights, and it's Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
And I know, Stacy, you've been really involved in this show, so maybe you can tell us a little about what guests can experience in Chainsaw Man 4D. Is that correct?
Yep, Chainsaw Man 4D. So Chainsaw Man is huge in Japan. Universal Studios Japan has done quite a bit of stuff with Chainsaw Man, and we will be bringing it to life here at our DreamWorks Theater for Halloween Horror Nights. And that's something super exciting for us. It's considered 4D. The visuals are 2D, but there's a lot of effects and elements that go along with it. But it's just cool because it's very authentic from Japan, and we're leaving it that way so everybody can experience the anime as it was designed and created. We're not going to Americanize it in any shape or form, right? We'll have captioning, but that's it. We want to leave it all true to its form. So excited about that too. It's extremely colorful and highly, highly energetic, and it's just very entertaining, just to go and see it. It runs by. It's a pretty quick film, and it's a really great experience. So.
And in some ways, this kind of, is a bit informed by FanFest nights, because you guys had anime as part of FanFest nights, and very popular.
Yeah, we had One Piece. We were not ready. I think the public kind of knows that, no hiding it. But yeah, there was a lot of back and forth in making sure that everything was true to the source material and making sure that it translated to what our guests expected from us. And so it was a really nice process. Collaborating with Japan, and again, we also have another character for daytime coming from Japan as well. But yeah,
and that's
a lot of collaboration there.
I think as we're wrapping this up today, that's kind of the theme. I think is, this is, like I said, this is 20 years that we've been doing Horror Nights since we brought it back to Hollywood in 2006. But I think if one thing's true about our team, all the talented men and women who work on this event, both in the production and the creative, with the talent behind the scenes, everybody who works on this event, we never rest on our laurels. We always look to where can we push it next, and that includes the things we select to do. We've talked this time about things like WWE and how. That's a new element. We've never done anything like that for Halloween Horror Nights. We're talking about, Chainsaw Man and bringing anime in. But that's what we're constantly doing. horror as a genre, like I said, it continues to evolve and change. It always has, from the time it was born in the silent film era to the movies you see today. And I think our job collectively as the people who work on this event is to evolve with the genre and to welcome new things into the fold, and to not look at it as like, this is my definition of horror and it's nothing else. No, it's
Push
like
the limits.
push the limits everywhere we can.
That's what we're known for.
Bring new things in, try new things. I love that spirit about Halloween Horror Nights, and I think everybody who works on that event has that spirit.
Super awesome.
And last but not least, obviously we want to thank all the talented people that work on Halloween Horror Nights, but we most importantly want to thank our fans, because our fans are so dedicated and loyal to this event, and we greatly appreciate that. We feed off your passion, and you're seeing it in the lineup this year. You guys told us you wanted Terrifier, you got Terrifier. Our Latin American guests have told us how important this program is to them. Now you're getting the final act of Monstruos. It really is, because the fans' passion is what drives, I think, all of us.
Absolutely.
You all agree?
Yeah.
100%.
Well, thanks for being a part of this behind-the-scenes look at Halloween Horror Nights, and we'll see you out there in the fog.